Now imagine that this gap is 1 year in time, 1 year of your life, the year after high school. How would you feel this year? Now I'm guessing most people would say that this year would be their first year of college. That's like the automatic default answer. But a lot of those people don't realize that they don't have to go straight to school. They could take this year and fill it with whatever they wanted. There's so much stress put on kids to figure out their lives when they're only a junior or senior in high school, to get your whole self together when you're super young. This expectation is ridiculous and it's not practical at all. Your goals for your life and your interests are bound to change from when you're 17 to when you're 23. But so many kids just go straight to college after high school without giving it another thought. Everyone does it, so why wouldn't you, right? But immediately starting college may not be the best fit for everybody. In fact, nearly 75% of college kids change their major at least once before they graduate from school. So, making them lay out their lives and make these huge decisions is totally unrealistic. But now back to the gap. What would you do with a gap year? You can fill it with anything you want to. Go anywhere in the world and try anything. And you don't have to worry about how practical it is either, or how much money it will cost. Since on average, taking a gap year costs roughly $5,000 to $7,000. That's if you don't have a part-time job and aren't living at home for any of it. To compare, the average cost of 1 year of college tuition can go anywhere from a few $1,000s at a community or junior college to $50,000 and beyond. That's a huge difference when at many public universities, only 19% of kids graduate within 4 years. Now compare a whole extra year's worth of college to simply waiting and taking a gap year. Again, big difference. And you can't quite put a price tag on the real-life experiences you get from taking a gap year either, to figure things out and discover who you are. Unfortunately, there's a certain stigma attached to gap years. Like people who take them are just a bunch of slackers who don't care. They're just trying to avoid their responsibility and don't want to grow up. While that may be true, more often than not, it isn't. More often than not, people who take a gap year before going to college are more mature, well-adjusted to life, and more interested in their education because they've actually had time to really think about what they'd like to do with themselves. And quite possibly, a gap year is just what spoke to them. It was what they felt was right for them at the time. And honestly, that's what this all boils down to. Doing what's right for you and your growth as a person, and your happiness. This is your life, not your parents, not your friends, yours. You cannot live your life constantly trying to please other people. If you do, one day you'll wake up and wonder where all the time went. You'll wonder why you aren't happy and where you went wrong. And this goes for everything. You can't please people with the college you decide to go to, or the career you think will make you look good and the most impressive either. Going to college right after high school can even be the safe path in some cases. It's what most people do, so there's a certain comfort level with it. Untraditional is hard though. That's why it's also important not to be afraid to do the unique thing and take the road less traveled. Whether that's taking a year off, or going to art school when everyone is telling you you'll never get a job afterwards, or taking a trip to explore, or inventing something that the world has never seen before. At the beginning of this talk, I had no idea what I was going to say or what I was going to draw. I had a loose plan of how I wanted to fill my gap, but overall, I just waited to see what would come of it. That's one of the greatest things about going out on a limb and taking a chance. Really one of the great things about this time of life in general. You don't quite know what you're going to get. And honestly, it doesn't matter in the end about all of the specifics to what you end up choosing, as long as it is something that you believe in, something that you're passionate about. And if what you're passionate about is not knowing what you want to do, then great. And if you do know what you want to do, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Because if you aren't doing what you truly want to be doing during your gap year, then why are you doing it at all? So now it's your turn. Go fill your gap.